the reason you want to heal that helicopter is because you're not just warming up your arm, you're actually doing a strike. This boom, 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 hammering that nail, that's a strike. So as a warm-up, you're learning to strike with that stick, because everybody thinks if you just do this, that's the strike. It's not. I do that with the stick to you. Okay, no, what the hell? You're going to piss you off. Now you got to understand that whipping motion. So it's funny we're having this part of the conversation, because a friend of mine, who I talked to, I know him for 40 years, like a brother to me. He was talking to me about, and I think it's Amazon Fire or Prime, or Amazon has. There's this thing about the martial arts, and he was talking about Kung Fu. And he was talking about, everybody thinks, it's the whole, Shaolin stuff. It's like, it's not. He goes, in the days of old, Kung Fu was incorporated into their daily activities. And that's how they get strong. Like, they knew they had to defend themselves, but, you see the guys come out with the whole, they'll hold the water jugs that are full. He goes, that's what farmers would do to kind of build themselves up, because, the forwards would come in and be stronger.
You got to go down there and drive the rice.
The rice, exactly, right? So they would incorporate that in every day. And so I try to do that as well. Grandmaster Michael Harone is a friend of mine. We were talking about how closing the door helps you with that C block, right? And I'm like, oh, shit. So I go home and...
I teach opening the door.
Do you? He teaches closing. He's like, follow it, hit the knob. I'm like, God, son of a bitch.
How about turning the doorknob?
Yeah.
Pulling that in.
Well, that's the thing. So something similar. As I'm walking by, I'm closing the door behind me, but I'm tracking until I hit that knob.
Yeah.
Well, what is that teaching you, right? That's teaching you, if I'm looking at you, I'm tracking that down until I find that knob. So that's the stuff that I love, because, if you are of the martial mind, and I mean that in a very specific definition, martial mind meaning that you're constantly thinking about incorporating this into your everyday life, those things become salient.
Yes.
And it's scary salient, because it's like, oh shit, I'm noticing stuff that I've never noticed before. So.
Well, we teach that to the students, this idea of that martial mind again, right? And it's amazing that when they first hear it, that here, I want you, when you open the door, think about that arm twist.
What's involved?
That's what that is. If I can get your arm, I'm locking it at the elbow. But that motion is something that you do every day. Oh,
where else do you see that motion?
Yeah, where else do you see that? And when that clicks to them, think of every motion as a combative move.
So we shared this before. This is over pizza.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah.
So where else do we see that motion? Where else do we see that?
Turn on the engine of the car.
Where else?
Yeah,
I mean, in a fight, in a knife fight.
Under knife.
Well,
Insert?
Oh, yeah, and then turn.
And turn, yeah.
Right?
That's
So,
already going.
boom, you're in. And it's not just in and turn, it's that whole rotation movement, right? So, it's funny, because as I sit there, I call that locking the door. So as you go in, boom, lock the door. So you're talking about, the closing the door.
Yeah.
It's funny, again, universally, I think we connect from that perspective. And then, since that, when I teach stuff when I share stuff, I try to give things that they can remember. Mm-hmm. So it got to the point, even with my daughter Day, we were playing around a while back, and I did something, and she grabbed me, and she came and said, put it in your pocket, and she pulled me straight down here. Yeah. And she knows what put it in your pocket means, where, you have the parry, you come out, and most people will drop it to here. Mm-hmm. Well, there's still strength on the other side. If I tell you to put it in your pocket, watch the mechanism of the hand.
Yeah, it goes all the way down.
Well, not all the way down, but then we just talk about the door, right? So this, by the way, is the conversations we have when we're off camera, and we can go for a long time, because I've said this 1,000 times, both on the stuff that I produce and this here, is this is where the true essence of martial arts lies. It's in the bunkai of talking to people who train, who maybe have more than you do as far as knowledge and time, but you start realizing it really is just the simple movements that really give you the difference.
And once the students figure those things out, they start playing with it with everything.
Absolutely.
They start going to the house and, what else can flipping eggs,
I think it's the connection in here when it happens for them.
Right.
When I can relate something that a technique is, for lack of a better word, a technique that I'm dragging this here, and you're trying to understand, I'm really trying to get that arm to be fully extended, so you draw it all the way back, you might push back on that head, but the essence of what you're really trying to do, when that part clicks, and as to why you're even doing all these different little things, and to give it reason to help you understand the technique again.
Yep.
right? So I'm here and I'm pulling this down, putting it in your pocket. I take it to my head, right? That's the same thing.
Exactly.
The fact that I'm pushing that head out that way is two different energies. Up, down, sprawl out like this. I can't come forward. Where your head goes, the body will follow. Well, if I don't want your body to come here, I'm going to push your head out that way. That's where your body's
I call
going to
that
go.
elongate.
Right. So as I come into this part, to that, that's what makes it work. First,
So it's funny.
initially.
Funny you say that. So ask me why I told my daughter to put it in her pocket.
Why do you tell your daughter to put it in her pocket?
Hey, thank you for asking. I appreciate that.
I want to know. I wanna know. Why did you put it in your
All
pocket?
right, so my daughter is a beautiful young lady of 19. She stands 5'4", 5'5". Okay. Average height of the average American male is roughly about 6 foot. I'm 5'11", something. So now my daughter, she's a sturdy girl, and I mean that in the sense that she works out, she takes care of herself, right? So we were training one time, and I start with compliant, and then I go to non-compliant as soon as I feel. I basically stair step into the non-compliant stuff. So we were training one time, and I said, okay, boom. I said, put it in your pocket, put it in your pocket, put it in your pocket. And one time she did this, and I said, like the fourth time, put it in. She's my daughter, right? Dad said, put it in your pocket. So I said, put it in your pocket. And she didn't, and I just kind of reversed it and pulled her off balance, right? I said, watch this. I threw a punch. I said, put it in your pocket. She goes, boom, boom. And I went, like you said, I went this way. Okay? So immediately you see the benefit of doing that. Now she's taking that 6 foot something person, in my case 5'11", and bringing them down to where she can attack, right? But what's the other part of that?
Well, you're breaking the center of balance.
Bingo. Oh, sorry. The fact that, and that's where steal their space, steal their structure comes out.
Right.
So as they come boom, 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 and she put them in the pocket, I remember working with her, and I go, okay, you stole my structure, now what are you going to do? And our fundamental rule under Grandmaster Greens is this: the number one place you want to be is never there. But the number one place beyond that is you want to be behind the person or on the outside.
So I have a thing for your pocket thing.
Okay. So as I come down, I said, you stole the structure. I said, now steal the space. So she immediately moved into where her chest is on my shoulder. And I said, now lock me into your pocket. But she just basically just locked her arm. All she had to do was lock her arm. So I'm starting to tug on her, right? And she's starting to come with me. I said, step back with your leg. Now, all this is developing real time, right? I said, step back with your leg, and all of a sudden, boom. And I said, now put your thumb in my eye. And I said, this is why we do these things, because when you understand body mechanics, and both of you do, I've had conversations.
That's what I'm going to get.
Yeah.
I'm going to rebut what you just said.
The body mechanic structure is as important, or almost as important, as footwork. When you understand body mechanics and structure and how to manipulate the mechanics of not only with your body, how that of somebody else, it gives you quite an advantage.
Right. So
But it takes time to learn that properly. Good.
So there you go. So the counter to that, on the other side of that,
Right.
when you say reach over and put that in the pocket, well, we always say bring everything with you. So when you grab my hand, as you're pulling it, right, everything goes with it.
Right.
It's not the leaning.
Right.
I make sure that I'm going to come forward with whatever you do on that. And that's why we say, okay, now that you understand that logic, understand the other side of that so this doesn't happen.
Right.
And then we start to say, okay, anytime that this happens, then if I'm bringing everything here, that means I'm keeping my structure.
Yep.
So you can't steal that
Yep.
structure and invade my space.
Counters.
Yeah, right?
The counters.
This is why we steal space.
That's right.
So if I just stole structure and you came in on me, I'm
Yeah.
back, right? So if I come this, let's just for the
Yeah,
conversation.
space.
As I come here, right, I'm stealing your structure. Now I want to steal your space. As you're coming in this way, I'm either taking you around this way where you have to collide with me,
Right.
but I'm power foot forward, right? Or I will, if I don't spin this way, I will step into you and offset your balance and steal your space that way. Now, because I have your structure, because you're like this,
Right.
if I offset you by coming into you, that's why I like being in, I'm a big guy, right? I can knock you in. Now you're trying to figure to stabilize, and then I put my thumb in your eye. So Master Ken has kick to the groin, I have thumb to the eye.
Right.
Or stomp the groin.
I just love that idea because, like I said, I always tell the students, you know, every time you're going in, bring everything with you. So your
Absolutely.
structures, you're not reaching, you're not leaning back, but you bring it all forward so that you don't get knocked out.
That's Grandmaster Green's notion of always being balanced.
Part of our teaching always is to look at both sides of the fight.
Yes.
Right. So you understand why things work, and then you get to understand why things don't work.
Absolutely.
Right, and if you can have that, then you're all around thinking about things that you're about to get to make it work, but then it fails. Why? Because you understand the other side, right? And if you understand what's going on from the other side that's coming at you, well, then you've learned to counter that as well. So there's that constant idea of flow, because you do understand both sides of the fight, that you can get to feel exactly what happened. And then you train it.
Yeah.
You know, you get to feel, and through repetition and cycling and really drilling it, then you get the idea of, oh, I can feel my body coming
Yes.
forward. Oh my God,
I need
it's
to
happening to me.
Yeah.
I need to do something about it.
But
right
I need
here.
to feel that.
Yeah.
You know,
How
and
else do you know?
How else you gonna? How are you gonna learn if
Right.
you don't feel it
You know, one of
being done to you?
You know, it's interesting. One of the things I incorporated in my sharing with Professor Bob Gomez's boys and gals was I went out and picked up 2 lipstick knives and about $40 worth of white T-shirts. Sorry,
Yeah.
I just found that out. And $40 worth of white T-shirts that I still have. And you know, I want to bring in reality as soon as I can. You know, and the way we structured, we had all our 1s, we have all our 2s, we have all our 3s, we have all our 4s, and we have all our 5s under Grandmaster Greens. And we had the 12 strikes of Serrata, but our basis in the first 5 strikes. So as soon as we can do that, then we put shirts on. And it's like, go at it. Well, what am I supposed
Right.
to do? And I said, do whatever comes natural. And it cracks me up because, you know, everybody's trying to do the outside number 1, or they're trying to do the inside block. I said, this is a knife fight, y'all.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take much for them to relax into that. And then you start seeing, what I look for was, all right, what did you retain from what we taught you or shared with you? And how fast do you go back to what you know? In this case, it's their Kaji Kempo. And then use that as a starting point to kind of build that link. So I use that portion of the sharing to teach them how to regulate their breathing, how to think through that process, and how to stay calm. And you know, before the whole, well, even prior to COVID, I had some life changes that I had to take care of. That I stopped, you know, sharing for a while. They were just getting to that point where I could start seeing them relax into it. It wasn't this. Everybody wants to go in. You know,
Everybody
now
all
it's more,
tight and
yeah.
straight.
Now it's more this kind of okay. It's more of a chess game versus a checker game.
What I like to bring out in that sense of play is really relating, even though it doesn't look like the art, just like you learn all this stuff, and when you go to a tournament, it doesn't look like the art at all.
No. Oh
Right?
no. Oh,
These
Right?
are
It doesn't. But you can find the art
Yeah.
in that chaos.
Yes.
And that's what the student has to realize, right? And a lot of times they don't, because the mindset is, I'm just trying to hit.
Yep.
But they don't even look at it, oh, there's that part of that art that I know. I just did it right there. I didn't even know it,
Yep.
right? Or from the person outside looking in, do you realize what you just did? These are some of the things that I've come across. I had a student when I was in Korea. He had 16 years of 5 animal form kung fu. We've separated. He's back in the States. I'm back in the States. I get a call. Hey Dan, you won't believe this. I was at a kung fu tournament and I won. But my instructor, or my sifu, got mad at me. Because after I won that, he goes, what the hell are you doing out there? She goes, I'm doing my whatever it was. He goes, no, you're not. You're doing your Kali out there. What? And when he told me that, I said, oh my God, they don't even realize what they have now. While they're in class, that's the stuff that you need to bring out. They need to be aware that whatever it is that they're doing, because it's already ingrained in them, especially Naeem. He's so much in there. But he will do the art.
Yeah, he will.
As much as possible.
Oh, yeah.
And try to keep the art alive in this chaotic situation.
I think
You'll
that's
never
the
see him
benefit.
displayed on the belt. He'll
No.
just
Yeah.
perfect.
And I think that's the benefit of only having the art.
Yeah.
You know, you're
Yeah.
talking about
No
tucking
background,
one.
yeah.
Yeah. And nothing, and both are good. I mean,
Yeah.
that's that depth
Yeah.
I spoke of earlier. You know, it's interesting to continue to talk about that. And I fought into one of my earlier years. I fought, I think, 3 martial arts tournaments, and I hated it. I hated it. You know, that wins.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
you know.
been there.
And listen, nothing wrong. I just don't like that.
That's the rule.
Well, because that's what I'm training for, right?
Yeah.
And my whole number one, since day one, learning any martial art or any defensive tactic or anything like that, is the self-defense part. You know, I have two intensities I train with. One is the first intensity, which I share with all the group that I'm in front of, is after the technique, I go home and call my lawyer. The second intensity is after we're done, I go home.
Right.
So those are two specifically different mindsets that will change how you do the same movement. Okay. So people who fight tournaments, God bless you. I love watching it. It's just not my thing. I'm old, I'm fat, and I got a bad knee. But I'm confident that if I had to, at least to the level of, at the very least, put up a good fight, I could defend myself if need be.
Yeah.
But you have to understand as a student, you know, what is it you're looking for? And I share with a lot of martial artists who are in schools, I say, you know, and you and I had this conversation the other day. It's like, I have a very, I won't say big, but, you know, a bit of depth in business. And that's kind of what I bring to the martial arts community as a whole, is I want to see people succeed because, you know, my daughter doesn't train anymore. She keeps her skills up to a certain degree, but she doesn't train. My wife never trained. So I want to keep as many martial arts schools open for the love of my wife, because if she's walking down the street and somebody sees something, I hope to God they were trained by a good instructor. So what I share with people is this. I'm going to ask you the same thing I asked him. Beautiful Saturday afternoon, you and the wife are looking for something to do. Mm-hmm. Do you go to a car lot to hang out and look at the cars? Just to hang out? No.
Not necessarily.
When do you go to a car lot?
When I need to go
cars, right?
shop for cars.
So the mindset of a martial arts student is exactly the same way. Is that they don't just happen to wander into a dojo or pick up the phone and call the local dojo. Something is driving them, and what's driving them typically is that they got spooked by something. Either they got attacked, the news is scaring the hell out of them, or what have you. So I share this open with every martial arts person who owns a school. If it were me, if I had my own school, this is what I would do, and I think it would be widely successful. And arrogant as that may sound, people walking in the number one thing is they want to learn how to defend themselves, right? A lot of owners I talk to, a lot of martial artists who own school I talk to say that they'll learn it in the art. That's kind of the common thing, and they will, right? But most people don't want to spend 5 years to learn how to defend themselves. So my suggestion to you is start a 60, 90-day program, no less than 60, no more than 90-day program, that is a feeder program to your school. Teach people how to defend themselves, so they feel good about that when they walk out. You'll probably use that as a bit of a feeder to your school, but understand now, for every person that walks through the door that you taught how to defend themselves, guess who became your biggest sales force? That's what I tell people. So I think, you know, when you look at that, the business side serves the martial arts side, because people come into a martial arts school, make contact with a martial arts school because typically they want them to defend themselves.
Right. I think
feed them what they want to eat.
It's a great marketing type of to influence the people to stay with it, right?
It's more than marketing, and that's the thing I want to be clear about. I'm going to push on it a little bit. It's more than just the marketing. It's a notion of servitude.
Well, that's given, right?
But
that's there. But I guess the second purpose is it's a great way to market.
Absolutely. From that, put in that context.
That's what I'm.
Yeah.
One of the things that we will generally say in the first week or so of the class when somebody starts with us is that after I show you something today, you're going to be able to use it today.
Yeah.
After class.
Yeah.
And you don't get a lot of that.
And that's the mindset that
we instill that.
as the students, remember, in the old time, the tribal days, I need to teach you something now that you can use.
Well, it's funny. I talk about how we kind of universally connect, right?
Right.
So here's the funny part about that. So when Professor Bob asked Grandmaster Green, and Grandmaster Green said yes, and I was chosen to go in and be the interim sharer, I thought about that. So, okay, these are all martial artists, but just because they're martial artists, do I teach them how I learned, right? 1, 2, and I thought about that, and Professor Bob at that time had a couple of new students, which I love because that makes you think in a different way. So I said, okay, what am I going to teach these people? And here's what I came to realize. When you're looking at it from a street perspective, right? How are you attacked with a knife?
Right.
Or a stick and a stick protector, right? It's usually this way, knife is this way, or this way, right? So the very first 4 things I teach, so some with that mindset, you walk out of here, at least you have something, right?
Yeah.
Is I teach them the pass, the outside, right? The inside, right? The roof, and the 5, right? R5. And it's like, from there, we spend time and build that out, and then we get into the art part of it. Because you only may be with me for 2 or 3 sessions, but
Right.
I want you to walk out of here with something.
Yeah.
With something.
Well, with a better feeling about yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of times you can show them something like they still have no clue like what was
No.
just given.
No. So we do that with the stick, right? And then I'll have somebody like a Bob or somebody, or Rebecca or somebody swing at me this way with
But
the,
see, even in that sense, when you say we have a stick, for us, we never say there's a stick. And I mentioned this in the 30 for 30, that if you start saying that from the go, that with a stick, blah blah blah, well, we know that night they're not going to go home with a stick and they didn't do anything with the stick. So we say there is no stick.
Right.
We say we're teaching you the motion because now you can do this,
Right.
whether you have whatever you have in your hand, whether it's a cell phone, your glasses, pen, or just your fist, so that becomes your tool. Is that the knowledge was a tool rather than the tool itself.
I'm not that eloquent about it, but I agree with you. Can you open that tall pocket for me and just pull out? You'll see it. It's the duct tape thing there for me. And I mean that because I do the same thing, but not that eloquently. All right. So, yep, that's it.
Wow. Somebody's gonna get hurt. Somebody's gonna get a big hurt.
So this is a training. I developed this through the COVID because I've been looking for something to train with by myself.
Keep your 6 feet away.
Yeah. Thank you for this. But so what this is what is it? The size of my fist, right? Softball, nail through the top, strapping, taped up, right? So I have it in the garage, right? Then I put a knife in my hand, right?
Same.
Then I put a small stick, long stick. So what's the only thing that changes?
What's in your hand?
Well, partly, but what's the
Yeah.
key thing that changes?
The ranging.
Distancing.
Huh?
Distancing.
Listen, yeah, ranging.
So, like I said, not as eloquently as you put it, but I do the same thing. Like I'll put this here, and I'll just
Punch, and then you have to step
Right.
back for the knife a little
right,
bit.
and so forth, so forth.
Yeah.
So, and again, this is where, and this is an influence from many of the martial artists that we both know and some that we don't, is this idea of constantly growing within what you're doing. Grandmaster Ron Esteller was brilliant for stuff like this. I learned so much more about, how to develop what I call backyard dojo stuff.
Teaching aids.
Yeah, exactly. It's like he goes, I need something. All of a sudden, I walked in one day and he on his bag he had 2 noodles like this. I'm like, I said, sir, and he goes, watch this, Danny. Boom, boom. We're like, oh shit, it's your Wing Chun dummy. Your Wing Chun dummy. And so that's the thank you, Grandmaster.
That's cool.
That's birthed out of that stuff. So, but the point I'm making with what we're talking about is, there is so much that you just want to go under the student when they first
Right.
walk in, but you got to feed it to them little by little.
Yeah, Danny calls
And-
that progression.
It is, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to steal it, and you guys will get
Neither.
credit for it. Is I'm moving away from the weapon to the mechanism, because I think
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
right. I think that's the way to look at that.
Yeah, it has to be. That's
Yeah,
the most
it's the
logical way that we find that. This makes so much more sense because then it encompasses everything,
Right.
but you're specific to what it is.
And I like that because they can do this at home with or without a knife or stick or whatever.
And their own creativity then
Kicks in.
Kicks in.
Definitely.
And that's the part that I want them to understand.
Mhm.
It's really up to you. When you're fighting somebody on the street, are you thinking about, okay, what did Dan teach me? What did Rick teach me? We're
You're
not
dead.
thinking that.
You're dead.
No, it's
You're
what
dead.
you taught
Right.
yourself.
That's why, going back to Professor Bob's school when we were there, we have 2 drills. We have Piggy in the middle, and we have, in honor of Grandmaster Carlito Bonjak, the Mata Sabayo drill. Mata Sabayo, for those who don't speak Tagalog, means Eye of the Storm. And the Piggy in the middle is basically, you're in the center of the ring. A lot of people call it the bull ring. And what they would do is, I would call in a number, and the person would rush in, right? And then what I would do is, the Mata Sabayo drill is a little different, is you would be in a circle, person in the middle, and then while the person's in the corner, I would tell people a different order, but put them in a different space. So one isn't always one may be in four, and so forth. And then I'll say go, and they will attack in that order. And the person in the middle, that's why it's called the eye of the storm. You're in the middle, so you got to figure out where the next attack's coming from. But what it does is, Professor Bob has mirrors and so forth. It incorporates your senses, because I tell them, look in the mirror, look at reflections, look at light changes. If you see something flicker, you better spin and figure out what the hell's going on. So, where the hell was I going with this? But
Albuquerque.
Oh, yeah, I'm there. But the fact of the matter is, those drills.
Barbecue.
Good barbecue, pork
Yeah.
barbecue. Those drills, I think, have been helpful, and I introduced those into training almost immediately.
We have one
Yeah.
totally opposite of that.
What's that?
Standing in the middle,
Okay.
surrounded by students.
Yeah.
They don't know who I'm going to attack. They have to be ready
Oh, okay.
to do it that way.
That's enough one. I like that.
Now they are all close enough,
Yeah.
but it keeps them
Constantly.
Am I
constantly
next? Oh,
aware.
Yeah.
Run.
You don't know.
Yeah.
I might attack Rick for 3 or 4 sessions, immediately turn,
Yep.
fake out this way, and then this guy's got to be here.
I like that because. No, I like that because.
He's gonna steal it, and we're gonna get credit.
Absolutely. When haven't I give you credit?
I love it though. It's great advertising. For
No,
us.
I'll tell you why. Because what I immediately saw in that, and correct me if I'm wrong, is now you went from being attacked to the attacker.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know why we would be.
As the student, though, they're being attacked at random. They don't know when it's coming. So that's the
yeah.
lesson.
That's the fear
Okay,
that
that's why.
That's the lesson.
Okay, because you may be attacking Danny, and they may be. I'm sorry, you may be attacking Rick, and they may be wanting to jump in and help him.
Yeah.
But also now you switch and go over here.
Yeah.
So I like that idea. It
Yeah.
gets you.
And again, the
I just
the
shoot you.
lesson has to be spoken. You have to let them know, what is this going to teach you? It's going
It's
to
going to
teach
teach you
you to
2
be.
plus 2.
Well, it's going to teach you to just to be aware,
Yeah.
right? And that's the first.
Just to be up on your own game. Yeah.
There's a great book by Jack Hoban. It's called The Ethical Warrior, and I always encourage everybody to read it because 2 of the main tenets that come out of that. Let me know if we have time. 2 of the main tenets that come out of that is that people don't get involved in violence when they see it
Right.
because of 2 primary reasons. 1, they don't know how to defend themselves, or 2, if they do know, they feel their physical agilities and shape are not suited, up to par for that conflict. So, I'm fat, I got a bad knee, but I'll fight you.
Yeah.
Okay. I do my forms of exercise. But one of the things that, and coming to what you said, that I kind of read into that a little bit, is that, and it goes back to the gift of fear. I actually got that book after your recommendation.
Do you like it?
I'm in the middle of it.
Oh.
But one of the things that he talks about is this awareness factor, right? So I call it standing at the ready. This comes again from my background in the police explorers and paramedicine, and when I was in Oakland, is, we're the medical crew, but there's some crazy bastard with a gun.
Yeah.
Still.
Right?
Yeah.
So, okay, you say the scene's code 4, I get that, but where's the gun? First thing we're asking, where's the gun?
Right.
Well, that's standing at the ready, right?
Yeah.
So I travel for business a lot. I used to before COVID, and I'd walk through an airport, and my head's on a swivel. But it's so second nature now.
Right.
And there was a pop, and can't remember what it was, but like something at one of the restaurants, something popped, and I'm 3/4 of the way down to the ground, and everybody else is like, "What's that?"
Yeah.
Idiots.
So
yeah, those guys.
yeah, it's like, okay, there's how many bullets, and I got 12 people in front of me, I'm good. But that's when I kind of realized, at some point, if you train enough and you train properly, you don't become a martial artist, right? The martial, you're a martial art. That's not a play on words. It's that it's so embedded into you, just as you're Filipino and I'm Portuguese and American. That's embedded to me. I remember last story. So we're at the house talking to my daughter, and I was at the house talking to my daughter, and I'm sitting here. The stairway's behind me, the upstairs bathroom, and so forth, and she's over here. And I start to, I just kind of shift in my chair, and all of a sudden something goes boom in the upstairs, right? I didn't even know I did this till she pointed it out. I jump up, I spin, She's trying to take a step. I grab her. I pull her behind me.
Right.
And I'm just like, okay, what is that? And I just thought, okay, I've heard that before. The thing in the shower fell. Okay. And she's like, Jesus, Dad. And I go, what? She goes, you know, you're out standing at the ready. And I'm like, that's what you do.
Right.
And that's when I kind of realized it, going, okay, I'm confident enough in what I know and what I do to put up a good fight. And to me, that's the proof. That and, you know, the tussling we do when we
Those
play.
little
I did that
things
with a van.
Yeah.
Yeah, I work at United, and I do security there. And I was being relieved from my post. And one of my other fellow officers comes in with a 13-passenger van.
Mhm.
He got out of the van, so I'm thinking, okay, everything's good, right? You get out of the van, that means everything's okay. I walk out in front of the van because I was going to get into the van, and the van starts rolling. I said, whoa, hey, your van's moving, right? So rather than getting inside to stop the van, he sticks one leg in, hitting the brakes. Of course, the van is moving, so he slips, hits the gas. It was still in gear, and the van comes at me. So what I do,
Yep.
you know, boom, 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 and I get hit by the door because it's open, but I'm alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, instinctually you understand. Oh, something's. Oh, I gotta. You know, and like you said, you know. Then after that I was like, okay, I'm good. I know what I will act accordingly to whatever comes up.
So look in the camera. We play together. It's all
All
in
in
the
the
forward.
All in the forward, yeah. Well, no, I pretty place trapped it out. Yeah, but you know, you're right. It is something that just intuitively happens, and you know you can go.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I was like, okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
I know that I'll be fine.
Now, you know, can I sit here and with any essence of knowing or confidence tell you that I will not be stabbed, shot, or attacked and
I'm
walk
sure I
out
will
of
at
it?
some point.
Yeah.
No, walk out
Well,
of
you
the
can
state.
freeze.
Yeah.
You can just freeze
could,
it.
yeah. Oh,
At the moment.
But that's
It
where
can still happen.
But going back to Reese's, I love her answer. It's the mind.
yeah.
Everything
Yeah.
starts in the mind. If you train your mind first, the body will follow. That's fundamentally the rule. This is why special forces, football team, everything that we admire, that's why they drill. You know who drills a lot? Fire departments.
Well,
That's why they
yeah.
drill. Because if you get the mind condition, the body will follow. And so I hope I never have to prove it.
Right.
And if I do, I hope I'm, you know, at least victorious enough to walk away. But at some point, you have to be confident in in who you are and what you believe in to say, if it happens, I'm biting somebody and somebody's bleeding. You
Right.
know? But
Right.
it's going to be a tough one.
You have to have that mindset.
But I think that's where you get to after years of training, after being around people who are like yourselves and to me who are more experienced than I am. And you know, and this is why I love these bunkai sessions, because as I'm talking to you and hearing other people talk, it's like, yeah, I'm there. Oh no, I'm not there yet. How'd you get there? That's where I need. That's what this is, right? You know. And by the way, for the camera and for the audience, you know, anything I've shared, I think they shared as well. It's not bragging. We're not being braggadocious. This is a conversation. If the camera wasn't here, that we would still have, because you have to be brutally honest in these conversations of where you think you are, and if somebody's better than you, to call you know BS on you, and then or for you to justify it, because that's how you do get better. So please don't take it anything other than just
And
a
with that,
conversation.
we're going to be cutting this short. Let me give you another 5 minutes. Anything you want to end with, or anything that, you know, because we've actually been going for an hour and a half.
Oh my God.
So, I'll make this quick.
This will be a 3-parter.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't want to cut anything out.
What do I want to end with? It's simply this. Whatever you do and whatever you train in, make sure it's what you want to do and it fits you, and you won't know until you do it. The key thing is, I go back to Grandmaster Ron Saturno when he says, you know, he worries about the guy who found the right instructor, and I'll say that to males and females alike, is make sure you're in front of the right instructor. Understand you don't have to be Bruce Lee. You just got to show up and train. Leave your slip. They say in Hawaii, you know, leave your slippers and your ego at the door. If you do that, then you'll go so much further. And most importantly, particularly for people who are students and not so much instructors or black belts or masters yet, seek out guys like this who are willing to
Thank
talk.
you.
You're welcome.
We're here.
Who are willing to talk to you and share with you, even though you don't train with them, because they may share something with you that might help you get over a hump or anything else. And most importantly, always, and I mean always, believe in yourself. Because if you don't, why the hell should I? So
Well
if-
said. Well, that's it for this edition of the Colleague Conversation. Again, with me, Rick,
Not
and
Naeem.
not Naeem,
Not
but
Naeem.
Danny, and our special guest, Dennis.
Dennis.
Thank you
Mahalo.
so much for your time.
Thank you, folks.
And 3, 2, 1, cut!
Okay.
Wow.